Hello, Sunshine. I'm Alexi Lalas. Welcome to the State of the Union. That is David Mosse over there, and this is our good friend Rob Stone taking a look at this Gold Cup roster as it barrels down. Really important summer for Mauricio Pochettino and this U.S. men's national team for a number of reasons, not the least of which we come into this summer, and I can't think of a time when there's been more pessimism and cynicism. And you know, when I really think about it, a apathy relative to the U.S. men's national team. But on the other side of it, there's an incredible opportunity for these individual players, for Pochettino, and for this team to kind of reignite some passion and some belief and some confidence in this team as we sit a year out from the World Cup. Mosse, quick thoughts on this roster and what you're looking for when it comes to the Gold Cup and this U.S. team.
Well, Sergiño Dest was the latest big name to bite the dust. I think Tyler Adams and Chris Richards aside, it is a virtual B team now, so this Gold Cup has become all about new players emerging. I still think there are some interesting names in that regard, like Diego Luna, Sebastian Berhalter, Brian White, etc. So I'm now judging it through that lens. It's not going to be as much a dress rehearsal for the World Cup as it is going to be about finding some new players that can stake a claim to a role in 26.
When this roster came out, before all the friendlies and everything, 6 players on this list right there had 0 caps for the U.S. men's national team. Very easy to be half empty, right? But to your point, let's go half full and let's be upbeat. And listen, we're looking at all the defections, all the players that are either injured or sitting out or FIFA Club World Cup commitments. It's a starting 11 worth of U.S. players that are not available. So there is a clean slate for Pochettino this summer to say, all right, let's figure some guys out, whether it's for depth or actually starting. You named a couple of the guys. You know, I don't think Malik Tillman is getting enough credit for what he did with Eindhoven this season. I think he's got an opportunity to jump in front of people's faces and say, I'm a starter. I'm a guy who's got a spot. Alex Freeman, I love guys with great DNA. You know, his dad, a former wide receiver with the Green Bay Packers, Antonio. I would love to see what he can do if given the opportunity. Luna is the flavor of the month right now. Everybody likes what he's doing. Can he continue that, though? Can he be that leader? And I think this is the summer of Tyler Adams. Give him that armband and literally tattoo that armband around that bicep and say, you are my captain going forward. Not just this summer, not just for the season. You are my captain through World Cup 2026. Lead this team.
Yeah, what I'm hoping for this summer is that a lot of the criticism, or like I said, the apathy relative to this team has kind of permeated through them, and that they individually and collectively understand that this is way people are thinking, or in this case, not thinking about them. And so what you're hoping for is a response. And even if only a few of them ultimately, you know, are part of the team next summer, collectively what they can do is important. And I hope that they're thinking about it in that way. This is still a Gold Cup. And we've gone to Gold Cups in the past with B and C teams. We should still expect this team to be a favorite. Now, this is a Gold Cup unlike other Gold Cups where you could actually argue that not only are they not the number 1 team going in, not number 2, maybe even not number 3, and you would put Canada above them, maybe you would put Panama above them, so it gives them something to work for. But if we come out the end of this summer and they have done well in the Gold Cup, and you know that's obviously getting to a final, that's winning the Gold Cup, and a couple of players have emerged that have said to us, yeah, that's what I want. And more people are now turning their heads back to see this team. Ultimately, I think that's a success for Mauricio Pochettino. But again, I never thought that in the summer of 2025, this is the way that we would be looking at our national team or our national team relative to the World Cup in 2026.
Midfield is the strength of this team. You have Tyler Adams there. To your point, you have guys like Malik Tillman and Johnny Cardoso who have been terrific at club level. It hasn't really happened yet for them with the national team, but maybe Pochettino can unlock that key. And also Luna, Sebastian Berhalter, Luca De La Torre. So there's some talent there to be able to put together a pretty nice midfield. And then up top, it's going to be fascinating, the battle between Brian White and Patrick Agyemang to be the starter this summer. And I think if one of those players performs really well at this Gold Cup, they have the inside track on a roster spot next year at the World Cup.
Patrick looks the part, by the way, right?
Oh yeah. When we talk about how this team plays, you know, the old Supreme Court definition of obscenity where I can't tell you what it is, but I know it when I see it. Yeah. Rob Stone, when you've watched this team decades, You know it when you see it. So what does that look like, to the extent that you can describe it or define it?
It certainly looks like some grass stains, right? It looks like some scraps. It looks like some slide tackles, some aggressiveness. I'll take blood. I want a couple I'm in your face moments. Like I'll be honest, I want some of that, whether it's deserved or not. I need, and I think there's a lot of people out there that need to have a couple of those moments where you're banging on your chest, like, hell yeah, we're back. Yeah, there's our fight. There's our vigor. We're not backing down from anybody. Not that we have in the past, but it just feels like that grit and that bite hasn't been there. And a lot of people, and I'll be one of them that says there's no excuse to not have that. I can understand us not playing to the ability of a Portugal or a Spain or France. I get it. Like, we're talking amazing talents. But we better, at a very basic level, be hard-nosed and hard to beat. Like, I remember the days of, like playing Italy, and Italy be like, man, that was a hard-ass 1-0 win. We got the win. We moved on, but man, I got a lot of respect for those guys. I don't know if there's a lot of nations walking off the field with the U.S. these days going, I got a lot of respect for those guys. These were tough guys to break down and beat. I want us to get that attitude back while also winning.
1990 World Cup, the U.S. lost 1-0 to Italy in Italy, and it took a Walter Zenga save to preserve that victory.
Right off his ass. Mosse, you've talked a lot about the friendlies and the opportunity, because it's not just the Gold Cup, but also the friendlies surrounding this camp in terms of, this is a team that doesn't have qualifying and using every single opportunity to assess and hopefully to, like I said, reignite.
Yeah, I'm almost more disappointed about the missing players missing out on these two friendlies against Turkey and Switzerland, 2 quarterfinalists at the last Euros. How often does the U.S. get to face European opposition of that quality? But so be it. So we'll see which players do shine in those games. I think those are going to be incredibly useful. A lot of data points there. I just mentioned Walter Zenga. I think goalkeeper is interesting this summer. Now, you don't have Zack, Steffen there, so we don't have that head-to-head battle we thought we were going to get. It's probably going to be Matt Turner all the way. Hopefully he plays well, and you feel good coming out of this summer that he, despite his club inactivity, that he's still in good shape to be the starter. And then in the center of the fence, I'd like to see Chris Richards, who's on a major high now, having won the FA Cup with Crystal Palace, parlay that into the summer and be this imposing center back at the Gold Cup against the caliber of strikers he's going to face in CONCACAF. If you get into the later rounds, then you're talking Raul Jimenez, Jonathan David, so there could be some interesting challenges for him there.
Ultimately, a World Cup is a celebration. And it is a party, as we mentioned. And for the next year, we will be celebrating what is to come, and then obviously the ultimate celebration happens this summer. But what happens next summer? What happens this summer does matter in terms of 2026. And when I say we, it's not just us sitting here. Obviously, from a Fox perspective, whether it's the Gold Cup that you can see, and obviously all the different things that we are going to do leading up to the World Cup next summer, and then next summer with Rob Stone and everybody else bringing it to you each and every day. From a State of the Union perspective, we will have live shows following the upcoming friendlies that the U.S. have. So definitely tune in for those, and they'll show up in your feed. And as I said, there'll be all sorts of celebrations, including next Friday, a live show from Miami where we celebrate a year out, not 100 days, a year out, but it's going to go like that. So all sorts of stuff on and off the field to celebrate what's coming. Pochettino and company better get their you-know-what together this summer, and then obviously over that next year. Thank you to Rob Stone. Thank you to David Mosse. Thank you to everybody out there for watching the State of the Union. We'll be back again next time. And until then, and as always, size the day.